Hello everyone. Hope you all are fine, safe and utilizing the best of the quarantine time. Today our session is on urinary tract infections, which is basically following the earlier chapter of E. coli. Let us see to the introduction part. Definition. Urinary tract definition is defined as a disease caused by microbial invasion of the urinary tract that extends from the renal cortex of the kidney to the urethral meatus. Then seeing the classification of urinary tract infection. Based on the anatomical sites involved, UTI can be classified as lower UTI and upper UTI. The sites in lower UTI are urethra and bladder, while the sites in upper UTI are kidney and ureter. And based upon the source of infection, UTI can be of two types, hospital acquired and community acquired. Then coming on to UPEC, that is uropathogenic E. coli. It is the single most common pathogen which is accounting for 70 to 75% of all cases of UTI. Also, urinary tract infection is the most common hospital acquired infection, accounting for 35% of total hospital acquired infection. Now we will see regarding the route of spread of urinary tract infection. For this, let us see the basic urinary system. Kidney, ureter, bladder and urethra. Now there are two routes, ascending route and descending route. In the ascending route, there are few steps. The first is colonization. Colonization is basically adhesion of the microbial organism to the urethral epithelium. This is the first and the most important step. A number of virulence factors help in this process, like Fimbria in case of E. coli. For the following colonization, the pathogen ascends through urethra into the bladder, leading to cystitis. Then further ascension through the ureter may occasionally occur if there is any vesico-uretary reflux which is leading to pyelonephritis. And then if the inflammatory cascade continues, the final damage to the kidney can occur, which can cause acute kidney injury. And the second route is descending route, also called as hematogenous seeding. Now this refers to the invasion of renal parenchyma through hematogenous seedling of the pathogen, which occurs as a consequence of bacteremia. Ascending route is the most common route, while descending route accounts for only 5% of the UTIs. Now we shall see some of the predisposing factors of urinary tract infections, which includes gender, structural and functional abnormality, catheterization and pregnancy. In gender, UTI is predominantly a disease of females, and there are two reasons behind it. The first reason is short urethra, as you can see here, and long urethra in male. And the second reason is close proximity to the anus. So there is more chance of introduction of endogenous bacteria into the urinary tract. Then the second factors are structural and functional abnormality, which could lead to urinary obstruction and urinary stasis. Now this obstruction could be either structural obstruction or functional obstruction. In structural obstruction, there could be reasons like prostate enlargement, tumors, stones and transplants. While in functional obstruction, the reasons could be neurogenic bladder due to spinal cord injury. Then a very common predisposing factor is catheterization. And finally, pregnancy. Anatomical and hormonal changes in pregnancy do favor the development of UTIs, and hence most females develop asymptomatic bacteriuria during pregnancy. Now coming on to the laboratory diagnosis part of urinary tract infection. The steps are specimen collection and transport, isolation and identification, which could be done by microscopic examination, culture and biochemical reactions, and finally antibiotic susceptibility testing. We will see each of the steps in detail. The first is the sample collection, that is obviously urine. But the thing that we have to keep in mind while collection of urine is it should be a clean catch midstream urine, which should be collected after proper cleaning of the area. And we do need midstream urine because we do not want the initial flow of the urine to be collected in our sample, because that would be heavily contaminated with the endogenous flora. Then we could also use suprapubic aspiration of the urine from the bladder, but it is recommended for patients who are comatose or infants. Also, in catheterized patient, urine can be collected, but this urine should be collected only from the catheter tube, which should be done after clamping and disinfecting, and never from the bag. After collection of the sample, we shall go with the microscopic examination and further conduct gram staining. In gram staining, we can see gram negative bacilli in case of E. coli. Further, we shall do the culture of the urine, which is done on McConkey agar plate, and it is kept for incubation for 24 hours. After 24 hours, the colonies of E. coli as seen here would be pink, that is lactose fermenting, irregular in shape and brown. Now, there are more chances of urine getting contaminated with the flora. So, we cannot differentiate whether the organism that has been grown would be either a contaminant or a pathogen. For this purpose, there is a concept that is known as Cass concept of significant bacteriuria, which is based on the fact that the normal urine is sterile, but it may get contaminated during voiding with the normal urethral flora. But however, the bacterial count in contaminated urine would be lower than caused by an infection. In this, what we basically do is the counting of the bacteria. If the bacterial count is more than 1 lakh colony forming unit per ml, then it is considered as significant bacteriuria or active infection. If the count is less than 10,000 colony forming unit per ml, then it could be considered as contamination. And if the count is between 10,000 to 1 lakh colony forming unit per ml, then it should be clinically correlated, or it could be a doubtful significance. But then there are some exceptions for the lower counts of the organism. As for example, antibiotic therapy, which is one of the commonest reason of the lower count. When patient is on antibiotics, it is but obvious that the growth of the organism shall be lower. Then patients on diuretic drugs and pathogens which are gram positive like Staphylococcus aureus. For counting of the significant bacteriuria, what we do is quantitative culture. Here we streak the urine on McConkey agar in a specific manner. The loop of the wire has a calibrated volume of specimen, and this is the pattern that we are streaking on the agar. The first streak area is a perpendicular or a straight line, and the second streaking is done in cross perpendicular to this line. Then after 24 hours of incubation, the next day we count these colonies, that is colony forming unit, and multiply by 100, which will give us the total count per ml. And based on this count, we could identify whether it is significant bacteriuria or contamination. Then we have to confirm E. coli, which can be done using biochemical reactions. The biochemical reactions here are indole, which will be positive in case of E. coli, methyl red, positive in case of E. coli, VP, which would be negative, and citrate, again which would be negative in E. coli. Also, we can go for triple sugar ion, that is TSI, wherein the observation would be acid by acid with gas production. And finally, antibiotic susceptibility testing, which could be done by Kirby-Bohr disk diffusion method on Muller-Hinton agar. Thank you.